Okay, let's set the scene. It's May 1999, Giza. Picture the Mbaba neighborhood. It's already incredibly hot, stifling almost. But then overlay that with this sense of sheer panic. There's smoke, thick black smoke, pouring out of an apartment building. Sirens are just wailing everywhere. All eyes, all the chaos. It's focused on this one seven-story building in Ard Aliwa.
Yeah, it was complete chaos on those upper floors. Neighbors, first responders. They see this awful smoke billowing from a seventh-floor apartment. And they hear word, maybe shouts, that there are kids inside, so, they don't hesitate. They start breaking down the main apartment door right away.
And as soon as they get in, they see it. The fire isn't everywhere. It's concentrated, really intense in just one room. You can tell immediately an accelerant was used. Then they have to break down another door and an inner one. And just beyond that broken door frame, they find little Hadeer. She's only 3. Unconscious, smoke inhalation, barely breathing. They rush her out, trying to save her.
But then, inside that burning room, that's where they find her older sister, 10-year-old Shahinaaz. And she's already gone, deceased. And this right here, this is the moment everything flips. This isn't just some tragic fire. The firefighters, the first police on scene, they see it instantly. Shahinaaz, she has multiple, absolutely horrific stab wounds. And the final detail, just so chilling, there's a broken knife blade sticking out of her jaw.
Wow. Okay, so that completely changes the narrative. It's not an accident. It's not even just, say, a robbery gone wrong. This is where our deep dive really begins. We're looking at how someone, a predator really, could maintain this horrifying secret life operating right under everyone's noses, right inside the family unit, supposedly a place of safety.
Exactly. And the forensics, what they found right away, it just blew apart any idea of a typical crime. Let's talk about the level of malice here. Yeah. The medical examiner confirmed Shahinaaz suffered 38 stab wounds, 38, and the fire itself, deliberate, poured right over her body. They found large amounts of kerosene residue.
38 wounds on a 10-year-old child. That number it's just staggering. Did the ME give any indication of why? I mean, the pattern of the injuries?
They did, and this is where it gets even more disturbing, if that's possible. Only 8 of those wounds were actually fatal, concentrated around the neck. The other 30, they were non-fatal, superficial, many of them. To her face, other parts of her body. The report stated clearly they were inflicted while she was alive, for punishment, for torture.
Torture. Okay, that detail is absolutely critical. Because if the motive was just robbery, why torture a child?
Yeah.
And police did confirm money was stolen, right? About 3,000 Egyptian pounds.
That's right, 3,000 pounds, which back in 1999 was a pretty significant sum for that family. But see, that's the immediate contradiction, isn't it? This incredibly savage personal attack. It feels like rage, like revenge. But the apparent motive is stealing what, in the grand scheme of violent crime, is relatively little money. It just didn't add up for investigators.
Right. No ordinary burglar goes through that level of, well, sadistic violence for 3,000 pounds and then tries to burn the evidence, including the body. It makes no sense.
Exactly. The violence felt personal, like it was about something other than cash, maybe silencing someone or preserving a secret. That paradox basically forced them to scrap the stranger danger theory almost immediately.
So the focus shifts inwards, towards the family, towards people known to them. How quickly did they rule out outsiders completely?
Very quickly. Logistics, mostly. Remember, the neighbors broke down the main door after the fire was going, but forensics went over that initial entry point. 0 signs of forced entry before that. The killer didn't break in. They were let in. Plus, security checks, talking to people in the building. Nobody saw any strangers entering or leaving around that critical time.
Okay, so the killer knew the family, was trusted by the children even, someone who could just knock on the door and be welcomed inside.
Precisely. And that's when the spotlight fell squarely on Afaf. She was 38. She was married to the brother of the girl's stepfather, and crucially, she lived in the same building, just 2 floors directly below the victim's apartment.
Wow, that close, 2 floors. That is incredibly close proximity. And I remember reading the mother initially defended her. Said Afaf was close to the girls, wouldn't hurt them.
She did initially. Understandable, perhaps. Denial, shock. But proximity, as you say, creates opportunity and deception. And the physical evidence, the little things, started to cut through that emotional defense pretty fast. Investigators questioning Afaf noticed something right away. A fresh cut, maybe a scratch, clear as day on her face.
Okay, red flag number 1. How did she explain that?
Dismissively. Claimed her own daughter, a young child, scratched her while they were playing. Plausible, maybe, but convenient.
Very convenient. What else did they connect her to the fire itself?
Yes. The accelerant, kerosene. Police searched Afaf's apartment downstairs, and what do they find? A significant quantity of kerosene. Now, when they asked her about it, she completely denied it, said she never had kerosene, never used it. So now you have the exact substance used to start the fire, sitting in her apartment, and she's lying about it being there. That's a big crack in her story.
A very big crack. So you have the scratch, the lie about the kerosene. Circumstantial, yes, but mounting. But for a crime this horrific, they'd need something more concrete, right? Something that tied her directly to the theft, the motive.
They did. And they found it by following the money trail. It turns out, almost immediately after the fire, Afaf gave her husband some money, said it was to help with the business project he had going on. When the police asked where she got this sudden cash...
Libby guess? She had an explanation ready.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
She claimed she'd just withdrawn it from her bank account. A simple, everyday transaction.
Ah, but investigators check those things, don't they?
They check everything. And within hours, they confirmed it. Afaf did not have a bank account. Never did. The entire story was a fabrication, which meant the money she gave her husband, it had to be the 3,000 pounds stolen from upstairs.
That's it. The lie that brings the whole facade crashing down, the scratch, the kerosene, now the money lie.
Exactly. Faced with all these contradictions, one after another, she finally broke. Afaf confessed. Confessed to murdering Shahinaaz, attempting to murder Hadeer, setting the fire, and stealing the money.
And this is where we uncover the secret world mentioned earlier. This wasn't just about one desperate act. The investigation revealed she wasn't just a relative who snapped. She had a hidden life.
A deeply hidden life. Turns out Afaf was essentially a career criminal, a professional thief. She had a long history of convictions before she married into this family, convictions she had managed to completely hide from her husband, from the whole community ever since. Her entire respectable persona. It was a carefully built lie.
And the murder of Shahinaaz. It wasn't even the first time she'd exploited her family connection in such a terrifying way, was it?
No. There was another incident, almost as shocking in its calculation. It really shows her pattern. Previously, she had targeted her own sister-in-law, invited the sister-in-law's children over to her place, then she drugged their food, used narcotics to make sure they were completely unconscious.
She drugged children? Her own relatives?
Yes. While they were passed out, she took their house key, traveled quite a distance, actually, to another neighborhood called 15th of May area, let herself into their empty house using the key, and stole 5,000 Egyptian pounds, then traveled back before anyone woke up.
The level of premeditation there is just stunning.
Yeah.
Drugging kids, traveling across town, methodical theft. It was cold, calculated criminality. Using trust as her main tool.
Absolutely. Betraying trust was her specialty. And get this, after that theft, she even gave some of that stolen money to her husband, too. Claimed she'd found a way to help him out financially. It was all about propping up this false image of herself. Protecting her secret identity was paramount.
Okay, so understanding that background, that history of deception and calculated crime, let's walk through the final moments of Shahinaaz's life again. It starts with needing money, right? The 3,000 pounds?
Yes. Afaf knew this stepfather had that cash in the apartment. She was broke. So around 11 a.m., she goes upstairs, knocks on the door, and because it's Auntie Afaf, someone they know and trust, Shahinaaz and little Hadeer just open the door. No fear. They let her right in.
So she's inside. How does it escalate from a visit to violence?
Afaf starts casually, trying to coax the information out of Shahinaaz. You know, where does your dad keep his money? That sort of thing. But Shahinaaz, maybe sensing something wasn't right or just being an honest kid, says something crucial. She says she'll tell her mother that Afaf came by asking about the money when her mom gets home.
The threat of exposure, that's the trigger. Not just getting caught stealing, but potentially having her entire secret life, her criminal past, revealed to her husband, the family.
Exactly. That flipped the switch. For Afaf, it became not about the money anymore, but about silencing the witness, about self-preservation at any cost. Her rage must have been instantaneous. She grabbed a knife. And that's when she started inflicting those first 30 non-fatal wounds. Trying to torture Shahinaaz into revealing the money's location, yes, but also perhaps trying to punish her, to terrify her into silence about the visit itself. But Shahinaaz, incredibly brave, stayed silent.
That silence, meant to protect her family, maybe, ultimately sealed her fate because Afaf couldn't risk exposure.
Correct. When Afaf realized the torture wasn't working and that Shahinaaz would tell her mother, she escalated to lethal force. She started stabbing her in the neck. That first knife actually broke off in the poor girl's jaw, but Afaf didn't stop. She went to the kitchen, grabbed another knife, and just continued the attack until Shahinaaz was dead.
Utterly brutal.
And
horrifyingly determined. What about little Hadeer during all this?
Afaf found the 3,000 pounds after killing Shahinaaz. She then just left 3-year-old Hadeer there, likely terrified and crying next to her sister's body. Afaf went downstairs to her own apartment, retrieved the can of kerosene, came back up to the 7th floor. She doused Shahinaaz's body, the room, set it ablaze, and made sure all the doors and windows were tightly shut. The goal was clear. Destroy the evidence, yes, but also ensure Hadeer died from smoke inhalation. Eliminate the only other witness.
And then, the final act. The performance downstairs.
Chilling, isn't it? After setting the fire, she went back downstairs, hid the money she hadn't given her husband yet. Then she calmly returned to the scene, stood right there beside Shahinaaz's mother, who was obviously distraught as smoke poured out. Afaf pretended to be shocked, horrified. She actually consoled the grieving mother, whose child she had just brutally murdered minutes before.
That level of deception it's hard to comprehend. But in the end, the evidence was too strong.
Overwhelming. The confession, the forensic links, the lies that unraveled, it all pointed directly to her. Afaf was found guilty of Shahinaaz's murder, Hadeer's attempted murder, arson, theft, everything. And in the year 2000, she received the death sentence.
So the core insight here, really, is the terrifying reality that someone can live this complete double life. The family felt safe because she was family. They trusted the relationship, completely blind to the skilled manipulator and career criminal hiding beneath that mask.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How well can you ever truly know someone, especially when they are actively, professionally deceiving you? They trusted the label family, but the crime itself, the details of the crime, screamed that something was fundamentally wrong beneath the surface. The brutality didn't fit a simple robbery.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with a really unsettling thought. If the most profound dangers sometimes aren't from strangers lurking in the shadows, but from people we trust, people we invite into our homes, people who might be masters at exploiting that very trust. How secure can we ever feel? And what subtle signs might we be missing when someone close is living a complete lie?